Caitlin Clark's name has become synonymous with transformation. When STN Digital and Zoom Analytics released their latest report, the numbers didn't just turn heads. They redefined value itself. The Indiana Fever, a franchise once struggling for visibility, suddenly found its social media presence with a staggering $55 million. That's not a typo. The next best team, the Dallas Wings, sits at just $8.6 million.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
This isn't merely about a player's talent. It's a masterclass in modern influence. Clark's content drives billions of impressions, generating engagement levels that most teams can't touch even after a championship run. And while stats usually live on the court, her impact thrives online, proving that in today's sports landscape, attention is a new currency, and Clark is minting it faster than anyone else. What this data makes clear is that the WNBA's future hinges not on collective growth, but on harnessing individual brilliance. The Fever social surge shows how one player can anchor a franchise's identity, shape its brand partnerships, and command national relevance. It's not just about winning games. It's about winning screens. The league's traditional focus on parity is being rewritten by the reality of personality-driven engagement, and Clark sits squarely at its center. If the WNBA embraces this shift, prioritizing star-centric strategies, it could redefine how women's sports capture value, not as teams competing equally, but as brands powered by the gravitational pull of singular stars. Caitlin Clark just broke the WNBA. Not on the court, off it, on social media, in sponsorship meetings, and across every analytics dashboard that matters. According to a bombshell report from STN Digital and Zoom Analytics, the Indiana Fever social media presence is now worth $55 million, and it's almost entirely thanks to Caitlin Clark. Let that sink in. The next team on the list? The Dallas Wings, clocking in at just $8.6 million. That's not just a gap. That's a canyon. A grand canyon of engagement, visibility, and brand value, carved by one player's gravitational pull. Clark hasn't just elevated the Fever. She's redefined what valuable looks like in the WNBA. This isn't hype. This is data. Billions of impressions. Millions of engagements. And it's not just happening during the season. It's sustained, ongoing, and still outperforming other teams long after the final buzzer. The league's social media heartbeat is thumping to Caitlin Clark's rhythm. That $55 million valuation isn't some fantasy figure. It's what advertisers would have to pay to buy the kind of exposure her content generates organically. And the Fever? They're getting it for free. The old narrative that league growth should be evenly distributed, that every team should rise together, is dead on arrival. This report doesn't whisper that. It screams it. The data shows clear as day. It's not about equal exposure. It's about star power. And Caitlin Clark isn't just a star. She's a solar flare. Let's not sugarcoat it. The WNBA has long struggled to convert talent into traction. Even championship-winning teams have fought uphill battles for attention. But Caitlin Clark is different. Her presence flipped the switch. She's turned passive fans into active followers, casual watchers into daily refreshers. She's not just playing the game. She's changing the business model. And the Fever knew exactly what they had. While other teams wrapped up their season and went quiet, Indiana kept the content machine running. Post after post, moment after moment, they made Clark the centerpiece. And it worked. Engagement didn't dip. It grew. Even after games stopped, the impressions didn't. That's not luck. That's strategy. So when people ask how a rookie can be worth $10 million in fame alone, the answer is simple. Because she is. Her visibility translates into actual dollars. Her name draws and brands. Her highlight reels drive reposts, retweets, reactions. She is the product. And the numbers prove it. But let's zoom out. This isn't just about the Fever cashing in. The ripple effect is bigger. This data flips the table on how the league markets itself. Because while the Las Vegas Aces are the reigning champs, they're not even second in social media value. They're third. Winning games, it turns out, isn't enough. Winning hearts, feeds, and timelines? That's the real trophy. And the math doesn't lie. The Fever didn't win a title. They won attention. They won the algorithm. They won fans. The kind of fans that don't just tune in once. They show up, they interact, they build the hype machine. And behind that, one name, Caitlin Clark. The report lays it bare. Equal marketing doesn't equal equal engagement. Trying to treat every player and team the same on social media, that's a losing strategy. Fans don't follow balance sheets. They follow stars. They follow storylines. They follow the personalities that move them. Caitlin Clark does exactly that. And the Fever leaned all the way in. This isn't theory anymore. It's economics. The $55 million valuation isn't just a brag. It's leverage. It's bargaining power. When brands ask why they should care about the WNBA, Indiana just pulls out the receipts. They've already generated the kind of buzz most franchises dream about, not in ad campaigns, just by letting Caitlin Clark be Caitlin Clark. And here's where it gets even more real. This report has serious implications for league policy, because if one player can drive that much value, shouldn't she be paid accordingly? Shouldn't contracts, endorsements, and salaries reflect that impact? It's not a debate anymore. The data's done talking. This isn't just about fairness. It's about survival. If the WNBA wants to scale, grow revenue, and pull in consistent national interest, it has to embrace what works. And what works is clear. Star-centric marketing. Stop pretending every team is equal in the eyes of fans. They're not. Stop pushing parity at the cost of potential. It's time to spotlight the players who move the needle. The Fever's playbook is a blueprint for the rest of the league. Want more sponsors? Show them metrics like this. Want more ticket sales? Center your most compelling faces. Want national headlines? Follow the path the Indiana Fever just paved. Because they didn't just capitalize on a moment. They built a model. And for everyone saying the hype will fade, that this is just a phase, explain the sustained engagement. Explain the billions of impressions long after her last game. This isn't just a moment. It's momentum. Caitlin Clark didn't change the WNBA because she's flashy or controversial. She changed it because she's visible, because she's relatable, because people care. And caring leads to clicks, to shares, to brand deals, to TV spots, to franchise growth. That's the real game. That's the long game. And right now, the Fever are playing it better than anyone. So the takeaway isn't that Clark is popular. It's that she's profitable, that she's measurable, that she delivers quantifiable value in a league starving for visibility. And if you're in charge of marketing or sponsorships and you're not paying attention to this shift, you're already behind. The WNBA has long dreamed of a breakout moment. This is it. Not because the whole league suddenly became viral, but because one player did. And that's okay. That's not a flaw. That's the formula. The future isn't equal exposure. It's strategic exposure. It's knowing where the attention is and investing in it. It's building stars, not just stats. And if the league leans into that reality, it won't just grow, it'll explode. Caitlin Clark isn't a fluke. She's a framework. She's proof that one player, backed by the right content strategy, can change the economics of an entire league. And that is a headline worth watching. If you're just as stunned by the $55 million figure as we are, hit the like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the league should double down on star-driven marketing? Or keep aiming for balance? And if you want more deep dives on the chaos, drama, and strategy behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe. We've got a lot more coming. Here's where it really gets interesting. The ripple effects from Caitlin Clark's social media dominance aren't just staying within Indiana's borders. This isn't a local phenomenon. This is national-level disruption. Clark has become the WNBA's algorithmic backbone. Her presence boosts impressions, triggers engagement spikes, and drags the rest of the league into the spotlight whether they're ready for it or not. Think about it. The WNBA has been grinding for decades trying to get mainstream attention. Networks, sponsors, even casual fans have always said the same thing. It's just not marketable. Well, that excuse just expired. The data from this report shreds that argument. Clark's numbers prove that the problem wasn't the product. It was the packaging. All the league needed was one player with mass appeal and the right strategy to back her up, And let's not pretend like this is just about Instagram likes or TikTok views. We're talking real monetary value, the kind brands write checks for. $55 million is the kind of valuation that gets boardrooms buzzing. It's not a vanity stat, it's leverage. It's a bargaining chip that Indiana can use when negotiating new partnerships, locking down sponsors, and building long-term brand equity. And the Fever didn't do this by chance. They had the foresight to keep the content machine churning, long after the season ended. No coasting, no off-season silence. They kept Clark front and center, turning every moment into shareable, snackable content, the kind of material that keeps fans glued to their phones, even when there's no basketball being played. That's what sets this apart. Most teams treat the season like the only time they matter, but Indiana flipped the script. They treated every post, every clip, every second of content as an opportunity to stay relevant. And it worked. It worked better than anyone could have predicted. Meanwhile, other franchises were left playing catch-up. The Dallas Wings might be second, but $8.6 million compared to $55 million? That's a whole different planet. That's like showing up to a Formula One race in a go-kart. They're in the same race, but only one team is leading the pack by miles. And look, the Las Vegas Aces are a championship team. They've proven themselves where it counts, on the court, but when it comes to social media impact, they're not even close. That gap between winning games and winning the internet is what this entire report highlights. It shows that titles don't trend. People do. That's the uncomfortable truth the league needs to face. It doesn't matter who wins a trophy if nobody outside the fan base knows it happened. The Aces might be champions, but Caitlin Clark is the headline. She's a trending topic. She's the one brands are calling about. And you can't fake that. You can't force fans to care. The emotional connection they have to Clark, that's organic. That's authentic. And that's what makes it valuable. People don't follow logos. They follow personalities. They want someone to root for, someone to repost, someone to believe in. This report doesn't just tell the league what's happening. It tells them what to do. Stop trying to manufacture parity when fans are clearly drawn to individual stars. Start building your strategy around the players who actually move the needle. And to be honest, this goes way beyond marketing. This is a payroll conversation now. If Caitlin Clark is generating $55 million in social media value, you can't keep pretending the current salary structure makes sense. That kind of impact demands compensation. She's not just putting up numbers on the court. She's delivering ROI in real time. It's also a massive wake-up call to every other team in the league, because now they've seen the playbook. The Fever didn't hide it. They didn't gatekeep it. They just did what made sense. Put their star in the spotlight and kept the content coming. And it turned into tens of millions in value. So what's stopping everyone else? There's no excuse anymore. The blueprint is public. If you got a marketable player, you better be posting, tagging, clipping, and turning every moment into momentum. Because this is the new metric. Not just points and rebounds, but impressions, engagement, and media value. The days of passive fandom are over. Fans want access. They want updates. They want to feel like they're part of the journey, not just watching from the sidelines. And the Fever delivered that. They built a bridge between the team and the fans, and now they're reaping the rewards. And if the league's paying attention, they'll understand this is a direction forward. Because the Caitlin Clark effect is not a fluke. It's a proof of concept. It's the case study the WNBA has been waiting for. And it's saying loud and clear, focus on your stars or risk fading into the background. Because here's the other hard truth this report reveals. Most of the league isn't generating enough buzz to stay competitive. That $55 million valuation doesn't just elevate Indiana. It exposes a gap everywhere else. Teams can't afford to wait around hoping for balanced attention. They need to create it. They need to earn it. And that starts with understanding who your stars are and giving them the platform to shine. Not just in post-game interviews, but in every reel, every tweet, every TikTok. Because that's where the fans are. That's where the sponsors are looking. That's where the future of this league lives. The Fever understood that. The numbers prove it. They leaned into the one thing that consistently drives attention. Authenticity. And with Caitlin Clark, They found someone fans could rally around. Someone with enough charisma and talent to cut through the noise. And now, the league is staring at a crossroads. They can either keep pretending that parity equals progress, or they can accept what the numbers are screaming. Star power is the engine of growth. It always has been. And now there's a dollar sign attached to it. This report isn't a suggestion. It's a roadmap. It's saying, if you want engagement, give the people what they want. And what they want is personality, relatability, and consistency. They want stories, not stats. They want faces, not franchises. The WNBA has a golden opportunity here. They have data, proof, and momentum, all pointing in the same direction. The question now is, will they follow it? Because Caitlin Clark didn't just raise the bar. She moved the entire scoreboard. And the rest of the league? They better start keeping up. Here's the thing. Caitlin Clark didn't just dominate a stat sheet. She rewrote the manual on how visibility works in the WNBA. What used to be a slow, uphill battle for attention just got power washed by raw, undeniable star power. And the truth? The league has never seen anything like this. The $55 million figure isn't just some feel-good number thrown out to fluff up a press release. That number came from concrete metrics. Engagement, reach, impressions, and the kind of brand exposure that marketers build entire campaigns around. It's not just about how many people are watching. It's about how many people care. That's the difference Clark brings. She turns viewers into fans, fans into followers, followers into walking, talking promotion engines. Every repost, every stitch, every comment is a mini ad. And the kicker? It didn't cost the Fever a cent. Meanwhile, the rest of the league is standing in the background wondering what just hit them. Because this isn't just a win for the Fever. This is a warning shot to every team, executive, and marketer who thought you could grow the league by playing it safe, by sharing the spotlight equally, by putting teams before personalities. Newsflash: fans don't go viral. Players do. The STN and Zoom Analytics report laid it out in brutal clarity. The WNBA's social media landscape is not evenly distributed, not even close. Caitlin Clark is the gravitational force pulling everything toward her. And it's not because the other players aren't talented or deserving. It's because she's the one who broke through, the one who crossed over. And the minute she did, the whole game changed. We're not talking about gradual brand building here. This is a tidal wave. In one season, Clark didn't just outperform entire teams. She generated more social media value than most teams could dream of, even with championships under their belts. It's wild, and a little uncomfortable if you're trying to argue for equal media time across the board. Because how do you justify spending equal promotional effort on teams pulling in $8 million in media value when one player alone is responsible for $55 million? You don't. You shift. You pivot. You lean in. The league has a once-in-a-generation opportunity, staring it in the face. And it's not just about Clark herself. It's about what she represents. She's a prototype. The proof that when you invest in a player, not just a roster, you can create a media ecosystem that feeds itself. Clark's content isn't manufactured. It's not overly polished or forced. That's part of why it works. Whether the highlight clip, a behind-the-scenes moment, or even just a still image from a game, everything she touches becomes part of a larger narrative. A narrative fans are actively consuming, sharing, and building on their own. And it's not just Indiana reaping the benefits. Other teams see bumps when they play the Fever. Opposing players get more visibility, more media coverage, more national attention. This is what happens when someone becomes the face of the league. You get the halo effect. And yet, there's still resistance. Some people argue that putting this much attention on one player risks overshadowing the league, that it creates an imbalance, that it's too much hype. But here's the hard truth. The alternative hasn't worked. Try to promote everyone equally. That's how you end up with 10 teams no one outside the core fan base can name. This report destroys the myth that equal airtime creates equal value. It doesn't. Fans choose who they care about. Brands follow the data. The market decides. And right now, the market is shouting Caitlin Clark's name louder than any playoff buzzer. You know what else is challenges? Salary caps. sponsorship models, league revenue sharing dynamics. Because if one player is driving this much value, and the revenue she's generating is disproportionate to what she's being paid, how long before the system starts to buckle? When advertisers are lining up to be associated with Clark, not just a Fever, not just a WNBA brand, but Clark herself. You can't keep pretending that player compensation shouldn't reflect that. You can't build billion-dollar media value on the back of one player, and then pat her on the head with a modest rookie salary. It's not sustainable, and it's not smart. What is smart? Recognizing this moment for what it is, a turning point. Because Caitlin Clark didn't create a flash in the pan. She created a shift in expectations. Now fans expect to be engaged. They expect compelling content. They expect access to their favorites. And when they don't get it, they check out. This is where the Fever strategy shines. They didn't overthink it. They gave the people what they wanted. Consistent, Clark-centric content that matched fan demand. Not just game highlights, but a full digital presence that kept the momentum going every single day. And that momentum turned into tangible, calculable media value. It's the new metric, the new scoreboard. It's not just about how many points you score. It's about how many eyeballs you bring. That's the future of this league. Not just playing the game, but owning the narrative around it. Because let's be real. If the league wants to grow into a media powerhouse, it needs media power players. And right now, there's no one bigger than Caitlin Clark. So what happens next? Well, the league can keep trying to distribute attention evenly, hoping fans will care about every team equally. Or they can follow the numbers, embrace the gravity of star power, and build a model that maximizes it strategically, unapologetically, and sustainably. Because this isn't going away. Clark is just getting started. And if the league doesn't evolve to match the moment, it's going to get left behind. But if they do, they'll unlock a version of the WNBA that's not just respected, but relevant, profitable, and impossible to ignore. If you're as hooked on this media explosion as we are, hit that like button. Drop your take in the comments. Should the WNBA rework its strategy around player-driven value? And if you're into deep dives like this, don't forget to subscribe. This ride is just beginning.